everyone, my name's Amy and today I'm taking a little bit of a different type of video today. Normally I do stuff with nutrition, but this week I'm actually going to be answering the 7 questions that vegans can't answer without lying. So, some other vegan YouTubers have already covered this, but I think that I might be able to add a unique position to some of the stuff that they're talking about and possibly be able to bring in some interesting research as well. So, I really hope that this video helps you be able to understand veganism a little bit better, and if at any point you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Also, check me out on all of this social media. I tend to post every day on Instagram and TikTok about nutrition, health, and fitness. All right, so let's go answer some questions.
And without further ado, I'm going to read to you what I wrote in my diary, which is a list of 7 questions that I have for vegans, which you might want to have for vegans, and which vegans might want to have for themselves. Now listen, if you're a vegan and you're watching this and you want to answer these questions, keep in mind that you're free to lie off and just say whatever you want to say that sounds amazing to answer these questions in the comment section. You have all of that ability. You can lie. But can you continue lying to yourself? In my opinion, this is a series of questions which could cause a person to self-reflect in a way that makes them understand that there might be no way in hell that veganism is correct or good or even normal or natural. The first question comes from Vegan Deterioration, who asks vegans, how often do you dream about eating non-vegan food? I follow that up with a second question, which would be, if so, how often?
Okay, well, this is a very unique question for me in particular because I remember a lot of dreams that I've had. I've pretty much had a nightmare almost every single night ever since I was a really little kid, and I typically tend to remember a ton of details from it. So, let's get going with this. I had a meat mare 2 weeks ago. Yep. I was standing in line at a fast food restaurant with my mom and my brother in front of me. We ordered some food, and one of the things that got ordered was a burger. I wasn't able to necessarily tell them exactly what I wanted, but I was like, okay, you know I'm vegan. You're gonna get me something that's vegan. Okay. We were still standing in line when they turned around and my mom handed me this burger, and that was half unwrapped already. And I was like, okay, cool. This is gonna be some kind of like Impossible Burger or something. And I was looking at it and I felt really weird about it. It took me like a few seconds to actually grab the burger, but after I did, I started feeling even weirder about the whole thing. But then a bunch of people pretty much walked around us and started basically saying, you have to eat it, you have to eat it. So, okay, I take one bite of the thing, chew it, swallow it. Instantly, I know it's not an Impossible Burger, and I take the thing and I throw it on the ground, and right after I wake up after that whole craziness, I actually felt like I was nearly having a panic attack right after I woke up in real life because of how crazy, just emotional that dream was for me.
I've interviewed a ton of ex-vegans and even some current vegans, and I have to tell you that there is a trend. And the trend is that they do very frequently have ranch dressing dreams, chicken dreams, steak or cheese dreams, cream cheese on a bagel dream. This happens, okay?
And the thing is I've actually done a little bit of research around on the internet to look into meat mares or nightmares that vegans and vegetarians could have about meat. And oftentimes people are not having these idyllic ranch dressing dreams or cheese on a sandwich dreams. What they're having is these nightmares about eating animal products. And this doesn't necessarily have to do much with anything, honestly. The reason why vegans and vegetarians kind of have dreams like this typically tends to be more because there's anxiety about eating these things. I've had a ton of nightmares in my life, and I know that the more anxious I am, the more nightmares I'm gonna have, and the more anxious I am about something, the more likely that thing is to come up in my nightmares. And I know for me personally, I'm scared about having animal products appear in my food unintentionally because I've actually had that happen before. I know that's the reason why I had that meat mare a couple weeks ago. Vegans and vegetarians are not having dreams because we want that food, but because we're anxious about something like that happening in real life.
Number 3. How often do you eat or use fake meat, fake milk, fake butter, fake eggs, or fake cheeses?
All right, so how often do I use alternatives for animal products? Daily. Yeah, you heard me right. I use soy milk or oat milk every single day. I like putting it in my iced tea or sometimes even hot tea. It's really good. And I personally don't find an issue with that, and I don't think a lot of people will find an issue with that. It seems to be that the meaning behind her question as to why we use these is to kind of point out that they're alternatives, that they're not the real thing, that there's something missing, that it's going to be because we desire the real thing. But there's a lot of issues surrounding having real animal products. And that's part of the reason why people pick these alternatives in the first place. Some of these issues surrounding animal products include things such as risk of heart disease. There was an umbrella study that was done this year that looked at meta-analyses on a vegetarian diet, and they found, quote, in comparison to omnivorous diets, vegetarian diets are associated with clinically relevant positive outcomes on both total and LDL cholesterol and body weight. Subjects adhering to vegetarian diets have significantly lower risk of diabetes, ischemic heart disease, and cancer in comparison to omnivores. And when you compare vegetarians to vegans, you can actually see that even vegans in the healthiest communities that they had in their study, the Seventh-day Adventists, had a lower risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer in some cases than even the Seventh-day Adventist vegetarians. On top of that, the American Heart Association took their diet and put it to the test against a vegan diet, and they found that inflammation was lower on a vegan diet as compared to their suggested diet. Inflammation is one of the big risk factors for heart disease and for multiple other chronic diseases as well. So being able to lower inflammation across a person's body is pretty significant. There's also the effect that a vegan diet has on obesity. According to the CDC, as of 2015, 71.6% of adults over the age of 20 were overweight or obese. Being overweight or obese increases your likelihood of being able to have any of these chronic diseases. And the thing is that the study that has been able to help people lose the most weight collectively is the Broad study, which is a study done on a whole food, plant-based diet that doesn't include oil or any animal products at all. On top of that, if we go back to comparing the Seventh-day Adventist vegetarians and the Seventh-day Adventist vegans, you can actually see that the vegans had a lower, and it was much lower than the healthy non-vegetarians that were in the Seventh-day Adventist group as well. And one of the major health reasons why I personally happen to follow a plant-based diet, more specifically a whole food plant-based one, is because of colorectal cancer. My family actually has a large history of colon cancer. Colorectal cancer is the most common cancer worldwide, and 47% of cases are preventable with healthy eating and exercise. And the thing is that when you follow a plant-based diet, you're not eating processed meats or red meats, processed meat being a class 1A carcinogen and red meat being a class 2A carcinogen. And this meta-analysis found that fiber, which is found in every plant food, even including things like Beyond Beef, actually is protective against colon cancer. And on top of that, in the animal agriculture industry, they're pumping these animals full of antibiotics, which can lead to antibiotic strains of various diseases, which could not be able to have medicines or stuff to be able to stop these diseases, and some of these ones could be much worse than even what we're dealing with right now. And these are just the health implications of a plant-based diet. There's also environmental considerations of a plant-based diet. If you look at this chart right here, it shows you the average amount of CO2 produced of each of these types of food. And if you look at it, animal products have a large amount more CO2 thrown into the atmosphere as compared to the plant-based options. There's other environmental issues as well. For example, of the land that is used for agriculture, 71% is used for animal agriculture, but it only makes up 18% of the calorie supply globally. Also, a lot of animal products require more fresh water to be used in the production of those foods than do plant food. On top of that, there's also runoff. If you look at this chart, animal products yet again are up at the top and plant products yet again are way down at the bottom. There's also billions of animals on the planet. And then just check out this chart of how many are slaughtered each year. It's in the billions again.
4. This is a really, really good question.
Okay, I'm listening. Shoot.
Have you ever thought that something tasted too good to be vegan? And maybe you later found out it wasn't totally vegan, or somebody didn't read the label appropriately and you trusted them and it wasn't actually vegan, and you could tell because it tasted too good.
Well, I can honestly say that I've never ever thought that something tasted too good to be vegan. Now, I have had situations where I had something that was really good and it accidentally turned out to not be vegan. But I never for once thought that it possibly wouldn't be because it tasted so good. Let me give you a really good example of what I mean by this. My mom one time went and bought a spice mix, an Italian spice mix, putting it on my food and it tasted so good. I checked the ingredients and powdered butter. I don't even know how someone includes that in a spice mix, but it was there. Never for once did it actually cross my mind that this is too good to be a vegan thing. It was tasty. I decided after I found out it wasn't vegan to put it to the side. And here's the reason why. Because I've decided as a vegan that all of the things I listed before are more important than what something tastes like. That's why I'm vegan. I chose this. It doesn't matter whether or not I actually enjoy animal products or actually enjoy things that contain animal products. What matters is the effects of that decision.
Well, that's also asking you the question of, do you like the taste of animal products? Duh, of course you do. But no, go ahead and leave a comment and say, you don't like the taste of animal products. You don't eat any fake animal products, and you sure as hell don't dream about eating anything but a salad.
Well, yeah. Honestly, I do. I mean, in college I discovered I like a well-done piece of chicken. I used to enjoy wiggly bacon. When I was in high school, I would literally have cheese croissants for breakfast. And it was melty and it was delicious and I enjoyed eating that way. But I've made the conscious decision to change the way that I live because of the effects that I have mentioned before. The fact that, yeah, I do actually enjoy the taste of certain animal products does not mitigate all of the things that I talked about before, the concerns that come with animal products.
Number 5, do you feel personally offended when you encounter an ex-vegan? This might be like a small red flag for some people, but ultimately, like, this is a serious issue.
No, I don't feel personally offended when I encounter an ex-vegan. I mean, I feel a little bit sad because they did decide something different than I did, but I don't feel offended by someone who made a different decision.
Number 6, how do you feel when you see children or hear adults say that they don't like vegetables, that they don't eat vegetables, or that they don't like fruits and vegetables? How do you feel when you see a compilation of a video of 50 children in a row going ugh to broccoli or spinach or cabbage? How does that make you feel? Do you feel personally attacked? Do you feel personally offended when that happens? Because that's something that you might want to investigate.
All right, a nutritionist perspective on this one. No, I do not feel personally offended when people decide that they don't like fruit and vegetables. In fact, I oftentimes become kind of curious, and I typically will put on my nutrition hat and start playing a game of 50 questions and try to figure out what vegetables people do actually like, because typically people like some kind of vegetables, even if it's just white potatoes. I mean, white potatoes are actually pretty remarkable. One full white potato has 70% of your daily vitamin C in it. So even that is pretty spectacular. And I don't expect everybody to like every vegetable out there in the world. I mean, there's a couple that I personally don't. Like, I don't eat green bell peppers or spicy peppers. And on top of that, you can literally be a vegan and never eat a fruit or a vegetable the entire time. There's enough alternate animal products and types of bread and other things out there that are in fact vegan, and processed junk food that is in fact vegan, that you don't even have to eat fruits and vegetables if you're a vegan.
And my 7th and final question is, do you feel, or have you had an increasing amount of the feelings of, say, misanthropy or psychopathy? So do you hate other people? Do you hate the world? Do you wish bad things on people? So are you so jaded by veganism that you want to be completely isolated because you hate people? And is that hatred creeping into being a psychopath and wishing them to die and wishing people to be raped and murdered because they use animal products? Is your veganism causing you to hate humanity and lose your faith in humanity as a whole?
Nope, not at all. In fact, with the recent things surrounding slaughterhouse closures and everything like that, like, I actually feel for the workers who are there. I'm wanting those workers to be able to find jobs, to be able to provide for their family outside of slaughterhouses, and I hope that those slaughterhouses don't reopen and that people are able to find ways to live that is not in that situation. I care about dairy farmers. I don't know if you know this, but I live in California, and California does produce a lot of dairy up in Central California. And I've been there. I've met the dairy farmers. I've met people who actually are part of the dairy industry. And I don't wish anything bad to happen to those people. In fact, my dream is for them to be able to continue to make milk, almond milk. Because the same area that produces dairy in California is the same area that produces almonds. I don't wish ill on people who eat animal products, cook with animal products, or anything like that. It makes me kind of sad because I understand, again, like I mentioned before, all the considerations that go into that, but I don't want someone to get hurt just because of it. So, After all those questions, am I still vegan? Yes. So yeah, this was kind of an emotional episode, and I hope this really helped you be able to understand a little bit more about me and about kind of how I became vegan and all sorts of different things like that, because I don't get to talk too much about things like this often on my channel because I'm doing tons of research about nutrition and being able to put out content to be able to help people in that way. But I still hope that you were able to get some value out of this content, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. The next video I'm going to do is going to be a nutrition one, and so if you have any ideas for what I should do for a superfood or super flop video, then please leave your suggestions for superfoods I should research down in the comment section below. And I hope that you always remember to love God, eat greens, get moving. See you in the next video.